Welcome in to the Five Reasons Sports YouTube channel. We're going to tell you again about a great new partner that we have here at the Five Reasons Sports Network. You'll be seeing them a lot on YouTube, also on the fivereasonsports.com website. It's called Best Ever. You can find it at bstevr.com. Look at the previous videos here that we've done on the channel. Again, it's bstevr.com. This is a place that you can simulate virtually anything in the NFL. It's a way to settle arguments. It's a way to project forward. You put certain players on certain teams. How would the team fare? And also you can look back and see how teams would have fared if different players have been on the team, if they'd made a trade, if they hadn't made a trade. There's a lot that you can do, and eventually you're going to be able to do, you can see it up there on the bar, eventually you're going to be able to do NBA as well. And we're going to settle a lot of the arguments that we have on Five on the Floor. I'm Ethan Skolnick. I've got David Fernandez here with me. We were trying to decide what to do today, and we saw a cool little story on the site. Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback of the Dolphins, obviously, for the past couple of years until Tua took over, and then he kind of got back in, tried to rescue the Dolphins in a couple of different games. But he may be looking for a new team this offseason as the Dolphins have committed to Tua. So one person went on this site, David, bstevr.com, and just took a look at how the Patriots would fare if Ryan Fitzpatrick went there. And the reason he picked the Patriots is, A, it looks like they need a veteran quarterback because they're probably not going to have Cam Newton back again. And also, Ryan Fitzpatrick has already played for every other team in the division. He's played for the Bills. He's played for the Jets. He's played for the Dolphins. He's played for other teams too. So why not sort of complete the quartet and play for the Patriots? And David, what this particular writer looked at, and you can do this yourself if you just sign up for free on the site, is he looked at how would the Patriots have fared in what turned out to be a loss in the second to last week of the season against the Dolphins if Ryan Fitzpatrick had been their quarterback? So what did they find?
Yeah, so if you remember towards the end of last season, week 15, the Dolphins faced off against the Patriots at home, and they won that game 22-12, and it ultimately sort of knocked the Patriots out of playoff contention. They were sort of on the fringes of the AFC playoff picture at that point. And so here this article is really looking at what it could have been for New England had Ryan Fitzpatrick been their quarterback and not Cam Newton, who was, as you mentioned, terrible for New England throughout the year. So really, one of the fun things about this website is that you can create these matchups and then you can edit and put in some of the information that you want in terms of the story itself. So, this one in the pregame, it kind of walks you through Ryan Fitzpatrick's journey in the NFL. It's a 16-year saga, really, for him, and he's kind of bounced around, and he's never been viewed as, QB1, right? But he's always had that, what so many people call Fitzmagic to him. And as you mentioned, he's played for all of the different AFC East teams except for New England. And he would really be a great bridge quarterback for whomever it is New England brings in, because it doesn't look like Newton's coming back and Jarrett Stidham doesn't look like he's going to be the answer there. So it would make sense for New England to bring in somebody like Fitzpatrick. And in this game, it was a Fitzmagic game. And if you go through, it kind of breaks down the game quarter by quarter with some of the game story there. And then at the bottom of the page, you could see the box score, right? And Fitzpatrick was able to do what he had done to the Patriots for the Dolphins last year. He did it to the Dolphins this time in this simulation, leading the victory. He went on to throw for 363 yards and 4 touchdowns in this simulation, sort of stealing the win for New England in Miami in Week 15. If this was the case in real life, this would have kept New England in the playoff picture, and this would have all but eliminated Miami at that point. As we know that, Miami fell short, even with the 10-win season. But if they would have lost this game, it would have kept them that much further from the playoff picture.
And if you're a Patriot fan, you're making the argument that you need a more stable quarterback than maybe Cam Newton was this past year. I know that Fitzpatrick's always been described that way. You certainly could look at this simulation and say 31 points against the Dolphins in that case. And, of course, you can run other simulations on the site. One other thing that they've added to the site real quick here, David, and as we update this stuff every week, They're adding new things to the site at bstevr.com. One of the things they've added to the site is a Legends section. I was just looking at it myself. They've got a simulation here. One of their things that's trending is whether Emmett or Barry Sanders was a better back in the NFL. That's been a long-standing debate. Emmett is more consistent guy. Barry, the more spectacular guy. They've got Manning versus Brady again, another simulation that they ran there. They even ran something called the Backyard Bowl here, where they took out all of the linemen and just played the Buccaneers and Chiefs skill position players against each other to see how that went. So again, you can settle all of these debates here. Is there any of the legend stuff that caught your eye?
Yeah, so there's some fun ones. As you could see there, you can use one of those pre-populated teams with like the 2000s Hall of Famers or 1990s Hall of Famers and square them off against one another. And they've got some other sort of generic teams where it really lets you see the value of a single player in a simulation, where you can really kind of take a look at Manning versus Brady. I think the one that probably stood out for me in their trending section, they've got one on Tim Tebow, which we all know what the Tim Tebow experiment looked like. Now that he's retired from baseball, one of the writers took a look at his football career. But really, one of the most recent stories deals with the 1990 Hall of Famers versus the 2000 Hall of Famers. And the 2000 Hall of Famers were led by Peyton Manning, who is being inducted this year. And the 1990 team was being led by Steve Young, who has been in the Hall of Fame for years. And he was spectacular during the 90s, particularly in 94 when he led the 49ers to the championship, actually down in Miami against the Chargers that year. So there's some really fun scenarios that you could play with as a user at the Best Ever bar. They're continuing to update these functionalities, as you mentioned, all the time. So it's one of the more fun and interactive platforms that exist out there. So it's definitely something that people should look at if they are curious about what it would have been like for Marino in 2021 as the Dolphins quarterback. There's all sorts of things that you could do.
Maybe we'll simulate that. We'll throw Marino out there with the Dolphins receivers from last year and see how that would have gone. Go to BST. I think Danny would have been pissed. Go to bstevr.com. That's bstevr.com. Get on there. It's free. Get on there before the NBA starts because the NBA stuff on there starts, because we're going to be doing a lot of stuff on there as well. Thanks to our producer, Manny Chang. Thanks to David Fernandez. Talk to you next week.